my way up to De Pere, Wisconsin. And I figured I would come in here and talk about my ideas or views on marriage. For some of you who have been following me for a while, that watched some of my videos from the channel that got deleted, you may already know my views. You may already understand. For the people who are newer here, this may be new information, but I'll give you my story, and which led to my idea of what would be modern day marriage. Now, I remember when I was younger. When I was younger, the idea of marriage was really built around what I saw on cartoons. Typically, you're gonna have a man, a white man, just be all the way real about it, straight from the caves, coming to rescue his white cave dwelling asshole. Now, of course, when I'm younger, I don't perceive them as the caves, but essentially we watching the caves save the caves, right? And typically it was gonna be a man, he gonna save his woman from some evil motherfucker or whatever, and at the end of all of it, they're going to get married and the crowd goes wild, essentially. I had that idea, as well as the fact that my mom was married, not to my father at the time. By the time I was old enough to understand, not to my father, but my mom was married, my grandma was married. So, you know, I was able to see marriages in my family. My uncles, you know what I'm saying, that they was married. And, you know, when I got to a point in age where I had an issue. I had an issue with how it was being depicted on TV and how I viewed it in real life. There was a conflict of interest here. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, where the fuck are these magical ass marriages that I'm seeing on TV versus the ones I see in real life? There's a disconnect here. Because in real life, it's not no happily ever after necessarily. People be going through shit in real life. People go through a lot of shit. I've had male members of my family, even when you're talking to other, would be, your peer groups, and they're talking about, their parents' marriages. And a lot of times, parents think that kids don't know what the fuck going on. They think we dumb as hell. Now, I'm not going to say that a lot of these children ain't the brightest bulbs in, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times kids know what's going on. Children know what's going on. You think you hiding it. You think you're doing a good job of hiding it, but your kids see. They see your dysfunction. They see you sitting around having bad energy between each other. They see the lack of love. You see, and a lot of y'all think this is a healthy situation for a child to be in. It's not. But this is what I'm seeing. Where people are having to struggle through this marriage. Like, this marriage shit ain't no, this motherfucker saved a woman and happily ever after. No, it don't work like that. Doesn't work like that at all. So then I had that to come to grips with as I continued to get older and understand and be in relationships myself. And by the time I was in relationships myself, I said, well, shit, people, they're engaging, the same way they treat marriage is the same way people going to treat relationships. It's like the rules were transposed onto what I would deem, people are single until they're married. And I made a video titled "You're Single Till You're Married" years ago. But that's just how I see it. Like, you're not married. You're single up until that point. I don't fully understand how the rules of marriage get transposed onto regular would be boyfriend, girlfriend relationships. And throughout this time, I'm dealing with, being a Christian as well. And you get certain beliefs and values from Christianity about marriage. Any person that is in whatever religion that you are, a lot of your views about marriage is going to come from the religion that you practice or that you've been indoctrinated to practice. So, marriage is supposed to be this forever thing, better, worse, sickness, health. It's supposed to be all this whole forever life, right? But then I began to understand divorce and what divorce was, which is essentially, in a regular relationship, motherfucker just break up. It's a breakup, but it's different with marriage because of the legal documentation and contract signing that takes place. I remember watching this documentary a while back called Divorce Corp. And it was about the amount of money that's made during people getting divorces. How much money the lawyers make when people are engaging in divorces, because it's not a simple process. Because now you're dealing with the contract aspect of it. Now, as a child, I had no knowledge of any of this. All I could see was clearly people are having to work a little bit harder than the cartoons are showing me. And shit is not all good, necessarily. People doing wild shit. But then I got to where I'm grasping with the concept of the legal aspect of this thing. America, 3Ks don't get this shit fucked up, incorporated their part in the breakup of the marriage and how much money these motherfuckers make. So coming to grips with all of this. And then understanding as well that marriage is not necessarily going to be a cure-all. I know that that's what we like to say, that's what we like to believe, that's what people like to put out here. People that are in marriages get up on their fucking high horses. A lot of them don't need to be on high horses because they're miserable. Let's just be real. If you talk to married people, a lot of them are miserable, but they're toughing it out, staying together. A lot of times there are children involved that they stay together for. Regardless of whether they're creating a toxic environment for their children, they're going to stay together for the children. A lot of people will use their marriage as some form of, them being on grand wizard status. They know everything. They've been able to achieve something great. Even if it's not great, they've been able to achieve something great. Therefore, they're going to look down on you. They're going to shame you. And they will even pity you for not being in an unhappy marriage. I find the psychology of it very interesting. Because people will play and try to look down on you. Because you've chosen to not be married. I know people that have been married several times. And every time they get married, they're up on their fucking high horse. I know people that use the marriage to save their relationship. Women have a tendency to push. Men have a tendency to buckle. And boom, here you have a forced marriage, essentially. Two people being married that ain't really ready for marriage, but they're going to get married anyway because there is this time clock on relationships. Typically, this is going to be pushed by women, who end up being the most destroyed when these marriages fail, unless they get in a large payoff, which is another thing that I am very, very against when it comes to marriage. Women being able to take a man's fortune, his wealth, whatever he built up, her being able to rob him of that If she decides she wants a divorce, her being able to take half his bread for raising some children. If that's a lot of these people that have a lot of money, they're not raising their own fucking kids anyway. They have nannies and things like that raising these kids. But the woman will still get half his money because essentially she raised the kids. It's some bullshit, if you ask me. Now, one time in my, ideas and views on marriages, I was against, marriage for anybody. Now, I believe that marriage is good for some people. Marriage can be good for some people, but it's not good for most people. I'm going to say that. Based on my observation, based on what I'm seeing out here in this world, marriage ain't good for most people, but I feel like it's not good for most people because people marry for love, which to me is the absolute wrong reason to be married. Because what you understand, a lot of times when people marry for love, that love fades, it fleets, it changes per certain traumatic events, whether it be infidelity, whether it be abuse, whether it be, and y'all know the number one cause of divorce is finances. People being broke or going through financial struggle. That's the number one cause for divorce. So that tells me a lot about marriage as it is. Money. And see, when you're young and you have this idea of marriage, somebody going through a financial hardship shouldn't be a reason for somebody to leave them or divorce from them. But when you learn that it's the number one reason for divorce, well, then it fucks you up even more. Because then it's like, well, I thought this was some love shit going on here. Some unconditional love. But you find out there are so many conditions to love that it's silly to marry for love alone. It's silly. I understand the benefits that come with marriage as far as, you having somebody being able to make certain decisions for you if you're incapacitated, if you're not able to, speak for yourself, you're dealing with power of attorney. A lot of people wish that the person that they married to didn't have power of attorney. A lot of people got fucked over with this. They thought the motherfucker loved them. They thought they cared about him. But come to find out, that was a motherfucking game. We've seen lots of examples like that. But that can be at least a benefit of some sort of being married. You have somebody to be there to be your voice if you can't be the voice for yourself. But the fraudulence that comes with marriage, the games that are played with marriage, the conditional love that people marry upon is problematic for me personally. And this is why when married people get on their fucking high horses, because they do this a lot. There are people that really believe in marriage, and a lot of it is due to Christianity and how they were raised and how they were raised to view marriage. But I feel as though a lot of times, especially with black people here, we're trying to follow in behind the ideas of the caves and make those ideas work for us. If you look at divorce rate in the caves, it's very high. Because even they can't live up to the standards in which they created for themselves. Because they've convinced the world, because love sells. And this is a problem that I have with marriage as well, is that love sells. You have people who will go out here and manipulate our emotions. This is social engineering from a very young age, into believing that this shit is real when love is a selling point. It's how they sell engagement rings, wedding rings, the dresses, the elaborate, a lot of times extravagant, extra ass wedding ceremonies. All this shit is a game. People have been manipulated into believing, because there are a lot of women who say they won't even marry a man unless he's giving them an expensive wedding ring. And to men that are marrying women like this, you can't believe that she loves you. And when she rapes you for your bread, I can't feel sympathy for you. When you get raped for your bread, I can't feel sympathy for you because she showed you very early on what she cared about. When a woman really cares about a man, she ain't worried about all of that. She just want to be with the man. It's not about money. People have manipulated our love and they use it to sell. And even on the back end with divorce, I told y'all about Divorce Corp, they're making millions off divorce, y'all. Millions. So marriage isn't pure. Therefore, when people talk about marriage like it's pure, when people talk about marriage like it's a cure-all, how can something be a cure-all that's not pure? It's not built in honesty and it's not built in reality, which is what a lot of people get divorced because they think shit about to get great when they get married. No. And there's also this idea that to be married requires a whole lot of hard work. People say the same things about relationships. Well, this is hard work. And one of the things and issues and problems that I have with this concept is that I don't want to work hard in no fucking relationship. Now, you can judge me for that however you will. But I'll be damned if I'm going to be out here in this world working hard and I'm going to be in a relationship where I also have to work hard. Then you wonder, okay, where does a person get a break? I don't want a relationship where I'm working hard. I don't. I'm damn near 37 years old. I don't want to be involved in a situation where I'm working hard from relationship to my marriage. Work hard on our business if we have a business together, building up something together, we can work in that aspect. But I don't buy the hard work in relationships. I understand now, if the hard work just equals you bouncing back from disappointments from your mate, maybe. But this motherfucking arguing shit that people be doing all the time, I don't want no parts of that. I know y'all think that's normal. I know y'all have grafted that into a part of your, relationship format with someone, is that y'all are supposed to sit around arguing and fighting all the time. But I'll be damned, y'all. I rebel against that norm. I rebel against that norm, whether it be in relationships or marriage. That is some bullshit. And then once I start looking at the fact that one is to be married and one is to not be with anybody else for the rest of their fucking life, I said, well, that's not working. Monogamy is not it's just not working. I mean, you can feel however you want to feel about it. It doesn't work. Y'all women, I know a lot of times they get on their high horses like y'all men are just out here cheating and being unfaithful, but it's a very large amount of women too, actually so close to men, and I don't even know how women get on their high horse about it, but monogamy is not working as well. So you have a lot of shit going on with the concepts and idea of marriage. That's why I believe marrying for love will cause infidelity to be a problem. Marrying for some advantage in the business world, I understand that, because then now you don't have the expectation, this love expectation, this you gonna be with only me for the rest of your fucking life expectation. Now it's about business and the benefits that we can have based on the fact that we're married. That is, I feel as though, is more conducive to being married, is to use the legal aspect of it to your advantage. If that's not what you're getting into it for, then I don't feel like marriage has much of a purpose. Because people can live together already. And in some states, they actually acknowledge what be common law marriages. That's if you living with somebody for, some say 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever the amount of years. If y'all been living together that long, well, goddamn it, y'all in. I'm just gonna go ahead and put y'all down on the paper, whether you want to be put down or not. That's that common law. But you don't need to be married to start a business together. You don't necessarily need to be married even to build wealth together. There are some tax advantages to being married, but people ain't getting married for that. They're getting married for love. which is a flaw. They get married for those childhood ideas that they might have had or saw back in the day. A lot of people now are moving in together because it takes 2 incomes to make a household run, whether they married or not. Like, okay, I fuck with you. Let's consolidate and put all this shit under one roof. Now, a lot of people learn a lot of things about people when they actually living with people. It's a different experience when you're living with someone. Some of y'all have learned this shit already. You understand this shit already. It's a different experience. It can get to be a little rough if a motherfucker's there all day and you can't run back off to your corner and they can't run back off to their corner and cool off. Y'all in the same house now. So there is no cool off corner. So y'all got to deal with things a whole lot better than a lot of that I've observed married people do. They create a lot of dysfunctional, toxic environments and have their kids sitting around this shit. And it's not good for these children at all. To me, I think if people were married for business, married for professionalism or some sort like that, I think marriages would last a lot longer. Divorce rates wouldn't be as high. But because people marry for the idea that they have of this perfection or the idea that they have of what love is, when we understand that love is conditional, and it doesn't matter what you think or what ideas or fantasies you've created in your mind, it is conditional. When we're dealing with interpersonal or, you meeting somebody, that shit conditional. People are not going to be with you through no damn thick and thin. Them vows, they just saying that shit. That's just talking, just them trying to sell that they are so very in love and all this shit. No. And if you talk to people in the amount of, talk to married people in the amount of work that they have to do, if you get, you gotta get them separate. You gotta get the man and the woman separate. Talk to the wife by herself, talk to the husband by herself. And you'll hear the truth then. You talk to them together, they'll talk about how it's some hard work, but we make do, but really both of the motherfuckers is miserable. Miserable as hell, and don't even have the money yet to get divorced. So they won't. You hear people separating, you know what I'm saying? People living together, sleeping in separate rooms and shit. They done developed that hate for each other, Because to me, the problem is marrying for love. Not for something practical, something logical. People marrying for emotional reasons. And that's the issue. And as for the black community, I don't believe marriage is the cure-all for our communities. I don't believe that at all. I think it could be a working avenue or path for people to consolidate their resources at times. But a cure-all, no. That ain't it. That's not it, because people don't stay married. People don't stay working as a team. They don't care about that. People will be married and don't like each other. I think the black man and woman could stand to actually like each other. They could stand to do that. Instead of all this bitterness that we have amongst each other, amongst ourselves, even before marriage and relationships. A lot of bullshit going on in relationships a lot of time because there's, people changing, or, people are being false. They're not being their real selves. And there's so much that goes on that I can't believe that we're still acting like signing a contract, walking down an aisle is the wave. Like that's what's going to save black people. No, it's not. No, it's actually not. So, at least in my opinion, based on what I'm seeing, based on my observation, my idea of marriage now, as an adult, I don't think it's for me. I don't think it's for me personally, but I don't knock anybody that is out here giving that effort, doing Being married, I wouldn't speak against somebody being married, but that shit ain't for, it's not for me. That's not where in my mind, I don't see it for myself. At least not now. But then again, I don't even see myself involved in a lot of these relationships. So it's just, relationships and marriage, they end up being the same fucking thing. These rules and guidelines, no, I'm not built for it. But if you are, more power to you. You see. But y'all married people, y'all not fooling me. You can't get up on your high horse and look down and act like you just, because you're married, you know the way. No. You can't fool me with that bullshit. Because I know what's going on, really. So you need to come down off your high horse and chill. You being married is something that, a status that you've reached, and I get the status that you've reached, and you may feel as though you can get up there and come down on people, but you can't. Because we know what the fuck going on. The imagination and the fantasy behind marriage has fallen. It being used as a security method, that has fallen. Women don't need men for money like they used to. So therefore they don't have to be forced to be in bad situations in marriages. So they'll get the fuck up out of there. And take half your bread on their way out. If need be, you see. This is reality. So again, I think that some people can get marriage worked out for them. More power to you. I don't believe that's a cure-all for the black community. I don't think it's a cure-all for any goddamn thing, really. It's just something that we've been programmed to believe in. But that's all the fuck I wanted to say. A lot of this is probably repeat information that people have been watching me for a while, but people who are newer here, here's my idea of what marriage is and how I view marriage. In short, I'm sure we'll be revisiting these topics as I deal with relationships and some issues that people have within marriage. They may send me messages about and things like that. But this is just the overview. I'm down for everybody else. Y'all know I get on these videos and I try to help people in their relationships. If they have issues in their marriages, people, hey, stay together, do what you gotta do, work it out, whatever. But I don't think it's for everybody. I don't believe it's for everybody. But y'all comment, feel need to comment. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Links to follow me on social media in the description box. Black first, second, and third. Shout out Team Rob. Y'all already know what the fuck it is. I'm out.